Are you?
Hi.
Maya, you're coming back on the board.
Yeah.
We're broadcasting live on YouTube. We're waiting for our board president and we'll get started, Maya.
Okay, thanks.
Hey Maya, thanks for being here.
Absolutely happy.
No council meeting tonight?
There is, I've stepped away.
Oh, okay.
Well, if we don't have our board president come in a minute or two, board vice president, you can. Oh, there he is. Oh no, that's Ton. Can you send them the invite again?
He said he's trying to get on, but he's having technical issues. So we'll see.
I'm with him on the phone. Just give me a second. You're muted, George.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
Good. All right. Okay. Okay, are we all set to go? Everybody's all set? Okay, very good. All right. Welcome everyone to our open session of our school board meeting. And at this time, we go to item number 4, general matters. And we start with 3.01, our flag salute. And I think today I will have Tom, can you lead us in the flag salute today?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Everybody rise for the flag salute. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Ready? Begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States of
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone may be seated.
Thank you, Board Member Ton Tran, very much for that flag salute. At this time, we go on to item 3.02 to approve, disapprove orders of the agenda. If none, let's go on to item 3.03, approve, disapprove order of the agenda. If none, we go to item 3.04, report of action taken in closed session. Superintendent.
Yes, the board unanimously approved the closed session minutes for the meeting of November 10th, 2020. There are no other actions to report.
Thank you, Superintendent. Now we go on to item 3.05, certification of election facts and request to fill vacant office by appointment. Superintendent.
Yes, so at this time, the 2 board members or 2 candidates ran out unopposed, and so therefore their names did not appear on the ballot. And as a result of that, the board will appoint the 2 candidates to the open positions through their action as required by Ed Code. Subsequent to that, we will have the opportunity to swear each one of them in to their 4-year term of office. Legal counsel did state that both of the candidates are able to vote on this action item, as there's no conflict of interest as a result of that. So we put this forward for the board.
Okay, Mr.
Well, thank
President, Mr. President,
Yes.
I strongly move to urge the acceptance of the certification of election facts and request to fill vacant office by appointment.
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez and Board Member Tran. So we have first and second on this motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
We should do a roll call vote.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's go with Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Carrie Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Berta.
Aye.
Thank you. And I, George Sanchez, do vote aye also. So that motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody. We go on to 3.06, which is the swearing in of board members. And I just want to thank Maya Esparza, our city council person. Thank you very much, Maya, for taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule. We know how busy it is over there at the City Hall, but we very much appreciate you being with us this evening to go ahead and swear us in. So do you want to swear in, Maimona, do you want to, let's go ahead and swear you in first. So if we, Councilperson Maya, if you can swear in Maimona first. Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. I'm so happy right now. So we'll go ahead and start. So if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Maimona F. Silberta,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental
Reservation,
thank you, preservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Director Berta.
Thank you, Councilmember Esparza. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
go ahead, Maimona. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, or I can wait till after you, George.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I
Okay.
guess it's my turn to be on the hot seat. Yes, go ahead, Maya.
You ready? If you'd raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, George Sanchez,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Director Sanchez.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Okay, Maimona, did you want to say something? I know Maya's on a tight schedule. Go ahead, Maimona.
I just wanted to say thank you. And I guess I did have a few words, but I respect my council member as far
Let's
as
hear it. I want to hear it.
I guess just taking in this moment, it's quite a time to be a teacher and a trustee and during this pandemic. And I've been reflecting a lot on what it means to take this oath of office in my first 4-year term. And what I've really come to cherish is the number of family members and loved ones and individuals who have overcome adversity and really demonstrated resilience and taught me how to do that. And really put me in this position where this service and leadership is possible. And so in my first language, Manho either or me Sara Karsikniho is the Manipas Han Pyar or Madat. And what that rough translation is I am here and I'm able to do what I do because of my loved ones and the support system. And as a district, I know we're holding this message close. And I know Councilmember Esparza, you're holding this message close as we, care for our community. And these heartbreaking times, I also just hope that we take care of ourselves and continue to uplift each other because we're going to have a lot of healing to do. And I'm really confident that collectively our students, our educators, our families, and communities will be able to build back our strength. So I'm really thankful to be part of this community. And thank you to everyone on this board and President Sanchez as well for your leadership and guidance as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Maimona, for those kind words. And I just want to thank once more Maya for being here with us and taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule. And it is a very solemn responsibility being a board member. And I've lost count of how many times I've taken this oath. I think it's about my 5th time that I've taken this oath. And I take it very seriously every time that I say those words. And I've always been about educating our kids, because that's the future for them is education. And we definitely need to do everything we can within our power as board members to make sure that we give them the best education possible as they move forward in their educational career, and leave us by the 8th grade and move on to the high school level. And so I want to make sure that we do everything we can so that our kids will be successful in the future in high school, and then all the way to the college, university level. So I just want to thank all the board members, our cabinet, the superintendent, and our staff, certificated, classified, for all the tremendous work that they do every day educating our kids. And so as we move forward, we hope that we look for better times. This has been a tremendously difficult year, but we've overcome before, and we definitely will overcome again, and hopefully be off to a much better start in the next school year. I just want to introduce a couple of people real quick. I know we can't bring family members. I know from outside, we can only have immediate family. Here's my little guy. Can you say hi? Okay, hi. Here's a future student right here. He's turned 1 on November 11th. His name is little Noah. So he started walking already. So he's all over the place. Goodness gracious, they can cause havoc when they're walking. And Stephen, my son Stephen, and Stephen, is a high school teacher. So he does virtual learning, and so I've learned a lot from him in terms of what's involved on a personal level when you do virtual learning from your house and from the classroom. So anyway, but I want to thank him for being here. I just wanted to introduce him to you. Anyway, but with that, thank you once more, Maya, and I'll let you go back to your meeting. And again, what you did here tonight is very much appreciated. We'll always remember you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege. And before I go, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the school district and this board and the staff. Franklin-McKinley has long been outward looking, and it's a community school district. Franklin-McKinley is embedded in every neighborhood, and you've been tremendous partners and leaders in this crazy year that we've had, and for the times that we're facing, because next year is also going to be a challenge, but we see a light at the end of the tunnel. And so I just wanted to thank you for your leadership and partnership during this year. It has made all the difference for our families. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Maya. Take care. So Maya goes back to her meeting at the City Hall. She took a couple of minutes to go ahead and swear us in. So we really, again, appreciate that she's taken those 10, 15 minutes to be with us. So we will proceed forward at this point. Let's go on to item number 4 now. Number 4 deals with the organizational meeting, election of officers. So we're going to go down through the president, vice president, clerk, and then the superintendent to be secretary of the board. But let's go 4.01. So 4.01 deals with the election of the president. And so at this point, the floor is open for the nomination of a board member to be president for the coming year. So I'll take a nomination at this time.
Move to nominate Maimona Afzal-Berta as president of the board.
Second.
Oh.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to nominate Maimona Afzal-Berta to be our next president for the coming year. And Maimona, you do accept, right? you can't back out. So
I appreciate the support, and yes, I am excited and humbled to accept.
Okay, and so we'll go ahead and vote on this, and we'll do roll call. So we'll go with Carrie first.
Aye.
We'll go with Rudy next.
Yes.
We'll go with Ton next.
Aye.
We'll go with Maimona next.
Aye.
And then we'll go with George next, myself, and I vote aye. So that's unanimous. Congratulations, Maimona, and welcome. I was going to welcome to the hot seat, but I won't say that. welcome to your new position as president of the board. Should I go down the list before we change, or do we change now or go down the list?
No, you complete that, the
Okay,
list.
okay. The next one is to election of vice president. So I'll need a motion, a second for the election of a vice president. So I'll take a motion, board members.
All right, I move to nominate Tan Tran as vice president of the board.
Okay, so
Second.
so we have Tan Tran be nominated to be vice president of the board, and we have a second. So let's go ahead and do a roll call on that, and we'll go with Carrie.
Aye.
We'll go with Tan.
Aye.
We'll go with Rudy.
Yes.
We'll go with Maimona,
Aye.
and we'll go with me, George, and I say aye too. So that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Tan. You're now the vice president of the school board. And now we'll go on to item number 4.03, the election of the clerk. So I'll need a motion and a second to go ahead and move forward with 4.03.
Move to nominate Carrie Rosado as clerk of the board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to nominate Carrie Rosado as clerk of the board. And let's do a roll call once more. And we'll start with Carrie.
Aye.
And then we'll have Tan.
Aye.
And then Rudy.
I vote yes, and understanding that she accepts that nomination.
Okay. I should have asked you to accept. And then Maimona.
Aye.
And then I also vote aye. So that's a unanimous vote, and welcome, Carrie. And you are now the clerk to the Board of Education. Okay, congratulations. And now let's go on to item 4.04. We designate the superintendent as secretary of the board. So I need a motion and a second on item 4.04.
I move to designate the superintendent as secretary of the board, and you don't have to ask him if he accepts it or not.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, a second to nominate the superintendent as secretary to the board. And so we'll start with Carrie. Carrie.
Aye.
Tan.
Aye.
Rudy.
Yes.
Maimona.
Aye.
And myself, and I vote aye. So that means that the superintendent will be a secretary to us, to the board. Congratulations, superintendent. And that completes our election of officers. So at this point, we usually rotate around. We rotate around in our seats.
Yeah, that means Maimona, you go to George's house.
Yeah, go come over here. Come over and take a seat. All right, so because it's a virtual meeting, so I'm going to turn over the rest of the meeting to Maimona. So Maimona, I'll let you take over from there, and you can start with oral communication, Maimona.
Thank you, George. And I just want to say I've learned quite a bit from you, George, as president. Thank you for your guidance and allowing me to learn from your many, many years of service on the board. And likewise to our previous presidents, I've learned quite a bit. So I appreciate everyone's patience as I start this role. So we will go to.
You'll do a great job. I have no doubt you're going to do a great job.
We'll do my best for sure. Okay, so we will go to item 5, oral communications. Members of the public may address the board on any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board or agenda items. Members of the public may also address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items. In accordance with board bylaw 9323, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each. Unless otherwise stipulated, no action can be taken on any agenda items at this time, and questions may be referred to administration or put on a future agenda. We will go to item 5.01, which is oral communications. Superintendent Cruz, do we have members, public?
We do not have any requests for to speak on this item.
With that, we will go to item 6, information discussion and/or action items. Item 6.01. we have the 2019-20 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report. I believe I see, is this,
Jason.
okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Jason.
No worries. This is a chance under Prop 39 for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to provide an annual report to the board. Right now, for year 1920, the only bond that was in use and available was Measure H. So Phil Renteria, our CBOC president, is here tonight to provide his report to the board.
And is Mr. Renteria able to unmute and?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you for being here.
you're welcome. I want to start off with greeting the president. Let me see, I hope I don't mess up your name here. Maimona Berta?
Maimona, yes.
President Maimona Berta, board members, Superintendent Cruz, staff, teachers, and citizens of Franklin-McKinley School District. Based on the review of the disbursement of funds that is required for Measure H bond conducted by Franklin-McKinley School District Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and also Key Analytics, a division of California's Financial Services, I submit on behalf of the Franklin-McKinley School District Citizens Bonds Oversight Committee this annual report for approval of the Board of Education.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And is there?
Yeah, and if I just may
I think
add,
that's for a future.
I just would
Thank you,
like,
Superintendent Cruz.
yes, I just would like to thank Mr. Renteria and all the members of the Bond Oversight Committee. They do an incredible job. They're super thorough. And, you know, they're volunteers, you know, they're not getting paid for this. And so they give generously of their time to make sure that we're in compliance with our bond and that the funds are being spent as the voters intended to. And so, and Jason and his team as well, because this is very complicated in terms of just the bonds and the selling and the buying and then the projects themselves. So kudos to the Bond Oversight Committee and the staff for the incredible work that they do for this.
I'd just like to echo what Mr. Cruz has just said. They've also overcome the adversity of COVID-19 and all the complications that brings to this process, and they're able to adjust and continue to provide that oversight that that should be provided under Prop 39. I'm not sure if Gabriel, are you on? Did you have additional words that you wanted to provide to the board?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I just want to, again, just echo pretty much what Juan already said. Thank you, President Renteria, for volunteering for this important role in the CBOC committee and reviewing all of these expenditures and the annual report. We're getting ready to start Measure R, and so there's a lot more work to come. So I hope you can join us for Measure R, and looking forward to more construction. Thank you.
Mr. President Berta, I would, before I leave, I'd like to also give a thanks to, first of all, to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Yes, they do quite a bit of work, and they're very diligent about the money that goes into from the bond and how it goes out to constructions and whatever it takes to improve the district, the schools, and for everybody, the staff and the children especially. But I also like to thank Jason Juan, the assistant superintendent, and his staff, Gabriel Altamirano, director of maintenance and auxiliary services, and Tammy Martinez, who's administrative assistant. This group always does a fine job, but especially this year with the with the retirement of Veronica Lantos, Gabriel stepped in and just didn't skip a beat. Gabriel and Tammy, they went right on their business as if nothing was, as if they've been here years. So I want to thank them for the job they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. And board members, do we have any questions or comments?
No, I have a comment. I would like to also thank the Bond Oversight Committee and especially Mr. Renteria for his long service to our school district. I'm not even sure what we would do without you, sir. I mean, you've just been fantastic. And of course, the rest of the Bond Oversight Committee and our district staff for their support of having a clean record of our expenditures for the bond measures. I actually went through every page to see if I saw anything unusual, and there was nothing. Everything looked great. I'm very confident that we will be acting the same way with Measure R. And Mr. Renteria, you have to stick around for that because it starts with an R, right? So thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
And one last thing. Thank you, Board Member Sanchez. I get the names out.
Very good.
I want to say one last thing here, and this is, I know most of you, well, some of you, shall I say, are alumni of San Jose State, and especially this one goes out to Superintendent Cruz. Go Spartans this weekend. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, and go Spartans indeed. And again, just thank you so much for your continued service, Mr. Renteria. We would not be able to do this work with our bonds without your service. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
We will go ahead and go on to item 6.02.
That's an.
Oh wait, we need to vote on this.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote then. Trustee.
I don't think that there's been a motion in a second yet.
Oh, thank you,
No.
Superintendent Cruz.
Madam President, I move to accept the Bond Oversight Committee's annual report.
Second.
Great. With that, we will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez,
You're muted, George.
Yes.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
and I, Board Member Absalberta, vote aye. And that motion passes unanimously. We will go on to item 6.02, the annual financial reports. And it looks like, Jason, are you doing this as well?
Yeah, I'll do the introductions. In accordance with Ed Code, we have to have our financial statements audited by an independent audit firm. Joyce Peters, partner at Eide Bailey, is going to provide an update to the board in reference to the audit of our financial statements for 2019-20. She will also provide an update on Measure H. It also had an annual financial statement report that they reviewed, and she will provide her findings.
Good evening, board members. In the board packet, there are 3 documents that related to your audit. They are a board member board communication letter, that's 3-page letter, and a district audit report and a Measure H bond audit reports. And in the communication letter, the professional standards require us to communicate the qualitative aspect of the audit, including district management's responsibility and the auditor's responsibilities, significant accounting estimates, difficulties encountered during the audit, disagreements with management, and if there's any unrecorded or corrected misstatements. So in the letters, there's 3 pages. I just do a quick summary regarding the responsibilities. The financial statements are the responsibility of the school district's management. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on your financial statement. And for your report, the most significant accounting estimates in your reports is related to your pension liabilities and related deferred inflow outflows of resources. This amount are calculated based on the actuarial study and calculations. And all others are pretty much is cost basis. So it's how much you spend, is how much you recorded. During the audit, we encountered no difficulties and have no disagreement with your management. As a matter of fact, your management team has been very cooperative and efficient, uploading information and making our request a priority. So I really appreciate that. This enable us to finish our audit in a timely manner. My audit team is very grateful for your teams. And especially in COVID, we have to do a remote audit approach, which is everything we want to see, they have to upload it and have to scan. So increase a lot of workload for them. During the year, we have an audit adjustment related to recording fair market value of the county cash on both district report and bond report. We have included this adjustment on page 3 of the communication letter. There's a schedule in the letter. That's the amounts we adjusted. In accordance with GASB 31, issued in 1997, most school districts should report, the school district should report their cash in the county treasury at fair value on the balance sheets. The fair value of unrealized gains of investments, including changes in the fair value of investments, should be recognized as revenue on the operating statement. In the past years, and for many years, many school districts, the difference between the fair value and the book value of the county cash is not material. So many school districts chooses not to record the adjustment necessary to report its cash with the county treasury at fair value. If the LEA or the school district chooses not to record the unrealized gain or loss, we as an auditor must determine whether the omission is material enough to the financial statement to require an audit adjustment. Unfortunately, this year, unrecorded gain and losses amounted to material number in the current year. So therefore, the audit adjustment. So this is the only things we have difference. All other reporting is consistent with the prior year. For the district report on page 96 of the district report, it summarizes our audit results if you don't have time to read through the whole thing. For your financial statement, it is a modified report. Other than the audit adjustments mentioned previously, there is no material weakness or significant deficiencies identified in your district report. So it's a clean audit for your financial statement. For federal awards, all federal programs that expend more than $750,000 are considered, we call Type A program. Type A program required to be audited every 3 years. Your school district have 3 Type A programs. They are Title I, Special Ed Cluster, and Child Nutrition Clusters. So we kind of rotated throughout the year. We selected Child Nutrition Cluster as a major program this year. We found no exceptions, so it is a modified report on your compliance for the major program. So it's also a clean audit. For state compliance, it is also a modified report. The modified report on all state programs listed on page 94. On 94, there's a list of the programs we have to audit, requested by the appeal panel, and then we didn't find any exceptions. That's concluded the district's reports. Next one, I will be presenting the major, give you a summary of Major H report, which is the 2006 elections. It is also a modified report. In this report, we include two sections. One is the opinion on your financial statement. One is opinion on your performance audit. The financial statement is modified, other than also the audit adjustment mentioned previously to record the fair value. There is no material weakness or significant deficiencies identified in your bond. It's the records is clean. For the performance audit, we take a little different approach other than financial statement audit. It is on the report, starting from the page 12 of the report. It lists all the objective and the procedures we perform. We selected, during this audit, performance audit, was selected 65 vendor transactions, totaling approximately 9.6 million and almost more than 500,000 payroll related expenditures, and review supporting documents like i.e. invoices or payroll registers or the payroll files to ensure that all expenditures were properly expended in accordance with valid language, and salary of administrators only to the extent they perform administrative oversight work on construction projects. The results of our tests indicated that the district has properly accounted for the expenditures held in the 2016 Major Age Fund. There's no exceptions noted. That concludes my summary. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Joyce. Board members, do we have any questions or comments on this item?
Oh, so once this report is given to us, as you've given it to us tonight, where does this go to the county? Is that where it ends up?
So we have to file it to a state controller's office.
Okay.
And then we also have to file to the county office of ed.
Okay.
And we also have to file it to Department of Education. Three places.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Good.
I did have one question, Joyce, on the deficiency that you noticed. I know a lot of this was adjusted because of COVID. Are there any corrective actions on that?
There's no deficiencies. We only find one audit adjustment, which is a recorded fair value of your county cash.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. All right, I don't see any other questions, but thank you again for being here to present all this information. I know it was a little more challenging with COVID, so we appreciate your work with our staff to make sure we are spending the money as it should be. Thank you, Joyce. And Superintendent Cruz, is this an information only?
No, this is an
Are we
action.
taking a vote? Oh, it is an action item. Okay. So is there a motion, board members?
I'd like to move to approve item 6.02.
Second.
Right, there's a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Board member Sanchez,
Yes.
board member Tran,
Yeah. Aye.
board member Rodriguez,
Yes.
board member Rosado,
Aye.
and I, board member Absalberta, vote aye. And so that the item passes unanimously. We will go ahead and move on to item 6.03, Greener District Recycling, Solar, and Transportation Update. And it looks like this. Oh,
I'll do the intro and then I'll turn it over to the team to provide the presentation. So
Thank you,
in
Jason.
response, yep, no worries. In response to the board's request, we're providing an update on all things green within Franklin-McKinley School District. So this is going to be a comprehensive update in terms of our recycling program, our solar initiatives, and transportation. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Gabriel first, and then he'll work with his team to go through the slides.
Thank you, Jason, and good evening, board. As Jason mentioned, this is all things green, Franklin-McKinley. So if we go to the next slide, please. We'll be covering three main topics. The first one is highlighting the recycling pilot program that was completed at Franklin Elementary School. The next topic will be our solar power update. And finally, our transportation update. Joining me tonight is Vanessa Burbach, as well as Joni Policy, and they'll be helping me with a lot of these important items here. So if we go to the next slide, I'll pass over to Vanessa to start us off.
Good evening, board members, executive cabinet staff, and Franklin-McKinley School District community. In tonight's meeting, I would like to go to the next slide and present to you the recycling proposal from Franklin School that was presented last year, and the board passed a resolution last spring for the global learners advocating for Earth. Next slide. The gist of the pilot is presented tonight along with the FMSD, how we can advocate for Earth. Last October, staff and students separated recyclable trash from regular trash for custodians to collect into the respective bins for the garbage company to pick up. We had increased recycle pickup for once to twice a week. This October, we can streamline the trash and recycling containers by the door for quicker pickup for the custodians and make them more visible with bigger icon labels. Next slide. To increase the student participation, Franklin's custodial staff and maintenance fabricated milk strainers for students to empty their milk cartons during lunchtime and dispose of the cartons into the recycled trash instead of the regular trash bins. Next slide. With separating trash in mind, Franklin students are making a conscious action to advocate for Earth by recycling the trash into other use rather than piling more trash on top of it. Next slide. Listed herein are the investments as we recycle forward. Next slide.
If we can go back to that slide really quickly, Vanessa, I'd like to add a few points.
Okay.
So we had an overall positive engagement with both the school site, Franklin Elementary School, staff, as well as students really embrace the idea of seeing the blue bin inside of their classrooms, as well as the pictures show our custodial staff, as well as our maintenance staff, appreciated the attention given to recycling and kind of giving back to Earth and decreasing our landfill. And so as part of this pilot program, we wanted to move to the board to recommend what we're calling Recycle Forward and how we can recycle across all of FMSD. Based off our classroom estimates, we would like to provide one recycle bin per classroom, two recycle bins per workroom for staff, for the copier rooms, and other workrooms that they may have, as well as for the cafeterias for any of those paper products that can be recycled, or I don't want to say it, plastic bottles. And then to help our custodial staff, we're also recommending trash can dollies so they can kind of easily pick up and remove the recycling. And down the corner, as Vanessa mentioned earlier, would be an increase in our recycling costs for dumpster pickup. And so again, this is our recommendation. I'll leave it to Vanessa to give a summary slide next.
And as the board approves to move forward and expand the recycling district-wide, the first year investment would be $40,879, including all custodial equipment. Ongoing costs for the upcoming recycling years would be for the pickup service, which comes out to be $32,760. Next slide. At this point, we'd like to recognize and thank the Franklin team to spearheading the recycling pilot. Mrs. Losha Borum, Mrs. Christina Ravo, Mr. Luis Delgado, Ms. Maria Cardenas, and Mr. Francisco Coro. Which brings us to our next part of the presentation tonight on the solar power update. Next slide. From the data presented herein, the Franklin-McKinley School District has reduced its electrical power costs by 26%. This is taken from the June 2020. Total district-wide cost is $860,352. I'm sorry, $353. And originally, before we implemented solar installation district-wide, we had paid to PG&E alone over $1 million. Again, this is a 26% reduction from prior to solar installation. Next slide. This part is the comparison that we have, comparing between Franklin and Santee non-solar school sites. And this will lead us into Gabe's presentation for what the district has in mind for the next steps.
So as we're looking to expand our solar power and decrease our PG&E usage, this is our benchmarking. We're kind of seeing the current usage of Franklin and Santee with their total usage as well as the PG&E payments. Next slide. So for part of the Measure R, we are currently in process and in design to install solar at Franklin Elementary. The red dashed circled points on the map show where we will install solar power. As we are currently using 307 kilowatts per hour. Our target range is to reduce that to 4,686 of grid usage, and hopefully decrease our PG&E electrical costs from about $63,000 to $1,200. This excludes any lease payments. This is just the PG&E usage. With this project, we're also hoping to expand our car charging stations. We currently have electric car chargers at the district office, and Franklin will be our first school site with electrical EV charge stations. Next slide. Similar here at Santee, if you look over the red dash on the campus map, shows where we plan to install the solar arrays. You can see our current usage as well as our target usage. So once the project is complete, our PG&E electrical costs will hopefully be reduced from $45,000 to hopefully less than $1,000. The Franklin site is estimated to be $1.9 million, and the Santee project is estimated to be $1.6 million. We are currently in the design phase, and we're still gathering all the reports and surveys. Next slide.
Hello.
Right, well,
Thanks, Gabe. Go ahead.
Nope, just transitioning over to Joni with the transportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, board members. This is Joni Policy from the Transportation Department. I'm back for some more grant info. Next slide. As you can see here, for you that joined us, thank you. In October, we had our ribbon cutting ceremony. We have it on YouTube. It's going to be on our site soon if you want to rewatch it. You have to listen really closely because I talked really fast. It was a great day that we got presented with this award. May 2020 was when we got the completion of our 7 electric buses. Next slide. The grant info, we're applying again for Bay Area Quality Management District. As you can see, the bus on the right, I got to go watch this 7 times, which was pretty amazing because the BACMed requires the school districts to get funding for EV buses, you have to do a video and show them the pictures of the buses actually being crushed so they know that we're taking these dirty diesel buses off the road. Next slide. The buses to your left are the 5 buses that I'm going to be crushing and doing videos and pictures again. I will show you in the future. We will be trying to get Lion Type A minibuses, the bus to the right of these buses. They're all electric. We are trying to get 3 75-mile range and 2 150-mile range buses. You could see the buses we are qualifying for are $400,000 per bus, and if we get awarded all 5 buses, it'll pay for the whole 1.9 million. Next. For the infrastructure, I have 7 charging stations at this time. I'm applying through BACMed to get it fully funded. We're actually waiting for a check from BACMed right now, which I've been bugging poor Joanne Chin every day. So we are getting this reimbursed. You could see 5 additional chargers would be $35,000, which BACMed will be paying for. If we go option 2, we just applied for a grant this week from the California Energy Commission, which is going to allow us to put solar panels adjacent to the yard to Franklin School. And we're exploring this with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. The purpose is to determine if electric fleets can charge solely from solar canopies. Next. This timeline, I started the grant that we just got the buses in 2018, and it's a long process, but it was worth it because come May, we got the 7 buses. We were awarded in 2019, and in 2020, we got all the buses. Unfortunately, we all know what's going on right now, so we're not running them with all our great students. I'm hoping to put them on soon. Last week, Tuesday, I just submitted the grant to BACMed for 5 more buses. And as soon as it went through, I couldn't wait to call Jason to let him know that they were submitted. And we're waiting to hear word if we were awarded. Next slide. That concludes our presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
I just wanted to, before questions happen, I just wanted to mention to the board that I really am blessed to have an amazing team. Gabriel, Vanessa, Jonah, they put a lot of work and effort into the work that they do, and hopefully it showed tonight in the presentation that they gave. And I really appreciate that, the fact that they are trying to continue to look for more opportunities to make FMSD greener.
If I may just add to Jason's, yes, I mean, the fact that they are not only looking to make our fleet greener, but actually find the money to pay for it, which is incredible that we've been able to do that. But also big thanks to the Franklin sixth grade class that started this all off in their effort to make our school district greener, and that it was possible to do it at Franklin. And so now, as I had told them that their efforts at Franklin were going to inform our efforts district-wide. And so I'm glad that the team is moving forward and recommending a district-wide approach to recycling.
Thank you, Superintendent Cruz, and all of our staff, Jason, Gabriel, Vanessa, Joni, and again, the entire team at Franklin. Board members, do we have any questions or comments?
I do. Okay, so my first question is just a general question. Maybe Jason, you can answer that, or Gabriel. Did we do anything in regards to water stations at our schools? Because I thought we had talked about that, to reduce the number of bottled water bottles.
So yes, our goal is to make sure that all of our sites have water bottle filling stations. We're actually installing one here right now at the DSC. I don't have the latest accurate account for how many bottle fillers we have throughout the district.
Okay.
Gabriel or Vanessa, if you know, please provide that information.
Yes, we most recently installed I believe it's the final water filling station over at Meadows. So as I mentioned in the presentation, I hope we don't have too many plastic water balls on site any longer. I believe every site does have a water filling station now.
Oh, okay. All right. Of course, the schools aren't open yet, so we don't have a use for them, but at least they're there, and that's helpful for the future. And I believe that was part of the Franklin students project as well when they were talking about recycling. I do have a question on a few questions on the presentation. If you go to page 8, where it talks about green investment, recycle forward, it talks about additional dumpster service, and it looks like it says the additional. Is that additional annual cost of $32,000, or is that the total annual cost?
That would be additional annual cost.
Okay. So
right now we don't have recycling pickup.
Okay. Oh, so but it's total annual cost for recycling pickup because we don't have it.
Correct.
Okay, so that's why it's in the budget as 32, and district-wide cost a year 2 is 32,760 because we will not need to purchase additional recycling bins or dollies or
right.
of those two items.
And we're estimating pickup twice a week. That's kind of on the high end. Hopefully we'll see what that number really looks like once students are back.
Well, you know, at the cost of doing business of recycling, I think that's worth the service. So I think that's great. Okay, so on the on page 12, talked about the solar consumption update. I'm a little bit confused because you talked about when we had PG&E, we were paying over $1 million, like $1.1 million to PG&E when we didn't have solar, right?
So I know Vanessa went over this slide, but I just wanted to maybe provide some clarification. And Vanessa, correct me if I'm wrong. I think when we talk about the impact of solar, we're really looking at like 12, 13 when we didn't have as many solar canopies on sites till now, and that has saved us in terms of kilowatts per hour. So I mean, if you look at 12, 13, you see 6.8 million district-wide kilowatts per hour, and now it's only 1.7 because in 1819 because we have solar at the sites, and so we're producing our own energy. Okay. And then in year 1920, it's 1.1, and some of that actually is probably due to the fact that we didn't have school for the entire year, so we didn't have the same type of energy pull. But there's also other factors, you know, how many days of sun did we have, how many days of rain, so on and so forth. But yeah. But that was my initial statement. And then Vanessa, if you wanted to add anything else.
No, Jason captured everything that.
Okay, because it looks like we saved about, because of COVID, looks like we are saving. It's unfortunate savings, but we are saving about 600,000 from actually PG&E just by not having our schools open. Is that what you guys see?
Yeah, and I think part of that, like Jason said, it could be that we generated also more solar because we had, you know, more sunny days. So there's some element of that as well built into the system in terms of how much we generate daily.
Okay, and then my last question is on page. Let's see here, page 21, where it talks about the timeline. It says we've already received 7 electric buses, which we already had the ribbon cutting for in October because we received them in May, right? Now, so we're applying for 5 more. So does that mean we're going to have a total of 12? We could have a total of 12 electric buses.
Yes, and currently right now we have 24 school buses, 16 diesel and 7 electric. And if we get this grant for 5 more buses, that will be half of our fleet. Moving forward, we are number 1 in the Bay Area, right? I mean, not the Bay Area, Santa Clara County, excuse me, I'm excited. Santa Clara County, but if we get 5 more, we're gonna be way ahead of the game because by 2035, all school buses in California are gonna have to be electric and we're gonna be halfway there.
So
And one thing
we're good. We're in good
Yeah.
we're in good shape.
yeah, so
So
after
we
this
are
one, I'm trying for the
Yeah.
next one. I'm always on top of looking what's out there. Free money, free money, free money.
okay, Joni, and that's okay. We are number one in the universe. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you, Maimona. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Rudy. Board Member Sanchez, did you have a question?
No, let me, no, I just wanted to thank the staff for their presentation and the great work that all of you are doing, staff, students, so on. And, really for cleaner air for our kids and just the overall savings that we're looking at is incredible. So keep up the great work, and I'm glad that whoever had the idea first, give him an extra thanks for bringing it to fruition, as we've seen through this presentation. And so again, thank you for all your tremendous efforts.
Yeah, and Board Member Tran or Rosado?
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Again, I want to echo what all the board members have said. Thank you so much for this result-oriented presentation. It's always nice to, be there at the start of it. So most of these programs start either in 2018, 2019, except the solar one. But to now see it into like real application, it's bringing so much joy to the whole board. I can definitely say that. So again, thank you, Jason, Gabriel, Vanessa, and Joni. Again, Joni, I really like what you said. Please keep finding that free money out there. There's a lot of opportunities. We just need to grab it. So whatever the board can do to help, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to give you our support on that.
Thank you. And just so somebody said it had to start somewhere. It was Vanessa in 2018 in October that told me to come to a meeting with her. And then she got busy and I had to go by myself. So it all started with Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for all your praise and leadership. It's great to work for this district and be supported in these great things.
And last but not least, we do not want to forget to also include and thank our other team member, Luann Castillo, in the purchasing capital project supervisor. She also helped us with the EV buses.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate all of your efforts. And again, it's just really, it's inspiring too to see all of this information coming back. And Superintendent Cruz had mentioned the students advocacy as well. And I think this really sets a good example and learning experience for them, as well as if they get involved and advocate, they can be part of this process of making real changes for our district as well. So thank you. And is this, are we voting on the recycling component, or is this just for information?
I think Carrie might have wanted to say a few words as well.
No, just the same as everyone else on the board. Just extend gratitude for all the hard work and keeping us up to date with the latest technologies, and always looking for ways to cover the cost. So greatly appreciate that. Good job.
Board President, this is not an action item. The budget proposal there is within our purview of being able to move that forward.
Great. All right, well, thank you once again. And we will certainly continue to look forward to all the hard work everyone's doing and how it's helping us become a greener district. So with that, we will go to item 6.04, the Educational Technology Update 2020. And this Jason as well, Dr. Martinez-Palmer.
Yes, good evening. Good evening. And in case I don't say it later, happy holidays. Wishing each and every one of you a safe and happy holiday in this very extraordinary year. And congratulations, Maimona and George. Really excited to have you stay on. This evening, we are collectively giving you information as per your request, an update on where we are with our technology plan. So Director Samer Swalem and Dr. Sarah Feldman are joining me in giving you this information. So Samra, can you please put the slide deck up, please? Thank you. So we'll just go to the next slide. So just a little bit of background. So in 2014, the state of California had implemented or developed an education blueprint for technology. And in that year, many districts were given a template by the State Department to develop a technology plan. And so during that time, under the leadership of Dr. Stella Kemp and staff here, the 21st Century Teaching and Learning Technology Plan was developed. And it's been quite interesting to actually look back at that plan and see where we are today. And Dr. Feldman will be kind of highlighting some of the changes that have occurred since that time. I've also, for your reference, linked the board policy, which actually is what highlights that the technology plan should be updated every 3 years. This is my 3rd year, and I know in the time that I've been here that the board has received an update, and I know that previous to that, looking at past board agendas, there have been updates along the way. In trying to figure out how to move forward with the design and the development of a current technology plan, I contacted the State Department of Education as well as a county office. And I looked around other districts to see, well, what's being, what's in their plan. And it was interesting to see that a lot of districts have not updated their plans. The state has not provided a new template. And so I think this year with distance learning, I think that is going to probably change. Next slide, please. So the one thing that we do know is since that time in 2014-15, the Common Core state standards came about, and many districts in writing their technology plan also referenced what we call digital literacy. The Common Core state standards in English language arts highlighted ways that students should also not only learn how to read and write, but also how to use technology to learn. And so the definition of digital literacy is listed there on your left side. And it's really the ability to use technology to search for information. How do you find primary and secondary sources? So how do we teach our children to do that? How do we teach our children to navigate apps? How do we teach them to use video clips or audio clips or interactive graphics? So it's all the different skills that a lot of us have learned quickly this year because of the state that we're in. But it's what are those specific skills that we need to teach our students as early as kindergarten so that they can acquire digital literacy alongside with all of the other competencies that we want our children to learn. On the right-hand side, you see K5 Brain Pop and Common Sense Media. I wanted to highlight this for you because these are the 2 online curricula that we have recommended to our schools this year to use, especially in this year when students are going to have to use the internet or their devices for learning. And so what you see in the bullets are the units of study that the teachers are teaching as part of their instruction to make sure that students understand how to use the internet, how do you practice digital etiquette, how do we deal with cyberbullying and peer pressure and those kinds of challenges. So that was probably one of the first decisions that we made in this school year is which curriculum were we going to use to be consistent across the district and what did we want to emphasize. And so we'll be collecting information from the teachers later on this year to see how those 2 programs worked in terms of teaching students these components. Next slide, please. The other change that's happened since that 2014-15 year is the state of California rolled out the computer science standards. And what is computer science? It's actually it's the study of computers and algorithmic processes including how to use hardware, how software is designed, how to use apps, and its impact on society. It was interesting to learn that it took a couple of years for the state to actually adopt these computer science standards, and they were adopted in May as part of an implementation strategic plan. I think I might have shared this with you in an earlier presentation. The one piece of information that I find most helpful is what's called the progression K-12. And so there is a progression for students of the skills that they should be learning around computer science. They are organized by K2, 3, 5, and 6, 8. And they include things like, how do you analyze data? How do you use the internet? How do you, what do you learn about coding and programming, which are pretty sophisticated skills that we should be exposing our kids. And so this is an area that was not included in our original technology plan, but will be definitely included in the next one. Next slide, please. And so now I'm going to let Dr. Feldman continue with some of the information.
Thank you. So what we see here is basically on the left-hand side was back in 2015. These were the areas that the tech plan, these were the 4 main goals of the tech plan back from 2015. So digital access and equity, safety and flexibility, personalized learning, and the opportunity to use technology for 21st century skill development. And what's exciting is to see how far we've come in 5 years. So for the first goal of digital access and equity, back in 2015, for example, the student to device ratios, there was only 1 school that had 1-to-1, and 3 schools had 4-to-1. Most of them had internet access that was very limited, outdated devices, and a range of devices. Things were not standardized. And now there's just been huge progress on standardizing the devices. All the staff have Google accounts. Internet access has been extended to all families and students and staff. And we will be at a 1-to-1 device to student ratio by June of this coming June 2021. In terms of safety and flexibility, the digital safety curriculum back in 2015 was a hard copy document. Now we've got the digital literacy curriculum that's online. We've given a lot of guidelines around how do you do video conferencing, given that teachers are using Zoom every day, and all kinds of tools from permission click to GoGuardian to Remind. And GoGuardian is an example where even when students have their cameras off, the teachers can see the work that they are doing through their laptops and computers. The third goal was around personalized learning. And back in 2015, very limited to certain sites that had special grants, sort of an initial level of understanding. And now we have some programs such as Lexia, which is a literacy program that is really being used universally and allows us to really personalize learning according to students' needs for reading development. And I'm going to share with you actually on the next slide some of the promising outcomes so far from using that. Oh, sorry, not next slide yet though. Sorry, I spoke too soon. Another example of personalized learning is that by using Data Zone, we're able to do data analysis and instructional planning, which is really helping site leaders and teachers to understand what is the data, what are the changes happening down to the student level. And then finally, the opportunity to use technology for the 21st century skill development. We've made progress on this goal where now there's a Google certified teacher at every school, for example, and both teachers and students are using a range of apps and tools. Now, for real, next slide, please. So some of the school site technology initiatives include at Santee, they're doing the Apple Connect Ed School. Meadows continues to focus on personalized learning with the Silicon Valley Schools Fund. There's coding classes at Bridges, CCA, Lerone, and Windmill Springs. Bridges has a partnership with School to Home to support digital citizenship. Echo Platform supports new tech project-based learning. And the district continues a partnership with the Tech Museum. And this consists of a tech fellowship program, which is a 2-year fellowship program for teachers who are being being trained to become STEM leaders in mechanical and software engineering. And so currently we have 2 teachers at Shirakawa who are in their 2nd year, 1 at Stonegate, 1 at Los Arboles, 1 at Santee, and 1 at Stonegate, who are in their 1st year of the program. And it is a 2-year program. We're having a little trouble actually recruiting teachers for next year's cohort. We've been advertising it, so please encourage folks to sign up for this amazing opportunity. Next slide, please. So this is a list where on the left side, it'll show you a list of the core curriculum that is provided digitally. And on the right are supplemental curriculum apps that are being used. The ones on the right that are in black are items that are being used district-wide, whereas the items that are in red, there's 45 apps, a total are site-specific, that specific sites have ordered. And I want to take this opportunity to just talk a little bit about how we are looking at and monitoring the usage of all of these online tools. So the example I'm going to give today are the 2 that are in red, Core 5 and Power Up, that are both Lexia tools. And these are an example of personalized learning. So if you click on those in your presentation, there's a usage report, and it's pretty promising so far. So at the beginning of the school year, 40% of K-5 students were using Lexia. Out of 4,055 students, 2,579 were consistently meeting the weekly recommended usage, which is 85 to 120 minutes a week. And at the beginning of the year, where 40% of those elementary school students were at 2 or more grade levels below in their reading skills. Now, in December, only 28% of those K-5 students are 2 years or more below in their reading skills. And 25% of the students using Lexia at the elementary level are only 1 grade below their reading level. And 46% are at or above their grade level now. So that's really exciting at this point in the year to be seeing that kind of progress from students using these programs regularly. Next slide, please. And I'm going to pass the baton to Samer.
Thank you, Sarah. So one of the apps that Sarah mentioned was Clever as a district-wide tool. And the question is, what is Clever and how does that support our students? Clever is basically a single sign-on website that allows our students to get all the digital applications from one central locations. So it basically makes it easier for them, for the students. They go to one location and with only one password and one username, they're able to log in and see their applications. Also, it enables for TK to 2nd grade, enables badges. So the students can just scan their badges and enter and get to the applications that they need. Gives quick access to web links such as journeys and collections. And also our teachers are utilizing Clever to do Zoom links. So instead of sending out the links to the students, they're able to add it to the portal. So the students to log into Clever and are able to just with one click sign on to their Zoom page. On the left, you'll notice the top 10 apps that are used by Clever. Lexia is in the top, Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up. As Sarah mentioned, you can see them in the top 5, and down the list, you can see a list of the top 10 apps. So I like to say FMSD has gone digital. We have been digital before, but we've never used it to this limit. We've taken all of our apps, put them onto, majority of our apps, I should say, and put them on digitally into the Clever portal. At this time, we have approximately 73% of our students using the Clever portal, and as well as 80% of our teachers. As for the student devices, we started off this year with approximately 4,500 devices. That's between iPads and Chromebooks. That's a little better than 1 device to 2 student ratio. This year alone, we've purchased close to 6,000 devices, again, between iPads and Chromebooks. And as of today, we have 8,200 devices that are not end of supports. So end of support meaning Apple and Google will support these applications, these devices with updates. And by year end of 23 and 24, there's 1,400 Chromebooks and iPads that will be end of support, but that keeps us with about 6,500 devices that will be end of support in 2026. On the bottom left, you'll notice the end of support. That's the yearly support of each device and when their end of support is. And toward the right, it's just grouped to the actual device and how much we currently have that are currently end of support and how much that are under support. So this slide is a new slide. It was not actually in your packet, but we wanted to get the idea, we wanted to let you guys see the idea of how many devices, how many hotspots were issued to students. Currently, we have approximately 48% of our students that we have issued hotspots to. That's leaving 52% that currently have adequate and good internet for distant learning. Luckily, we were able to work with the City of San Jose and the San Jose Library. They had a program called SJ Access. They donated over 1,900 hotspots to Franklin-McKinley School District, and we were able to get the majority of these out to the school sites. The program saved us approximately $650,000, and our current yearly expense is approximately $350,000 with the other devices that we have. You'll notice that we do have, so SJ Access is by AT&T. AT&T donated those. We do have T-Mobile and Verizon hotspots as well. So we're able to, depending on the site that they're at, we're able to issue the hotspot that works best for their site. If Verizon or T-Mobile has inadequate internet access, we can give them AT&T, so on and so forth. Staff devices. Previously in 2015, we originally ordered a MacBook Air for all teachers. We ordered Apple TVs and that were installed in all cohort classes. Now, 5 years later, close 6 years, these MacBooks are getting old, slow, and they're really not efficient enough for the students to continue, or the teachers to continue working on them. Currently in 2020, we have ordered all certificated staff the new MacBook Airs. We got them 27-inch monitors in order to support the Zoom and their distance learning. We are upgrading the Apple TVs in all classrooms, not only the cohort classrooms. And we are purchasing document cameras for the staff to support distance learning. And back to Norma.
So it's one thing to have a device, but the bigger question is, what do you do with it? And this year, obviously, we have to rely on our devices to provide instruction. But as we think about our students heading back into the classroom, what will happen in terms of the role that technology plays in learning? And so I wanted to introduce to you the SAMR model, not Director SAMR Swalem, but a different kind of SAMR model, which is an acronym for SAMR, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But what the SAMR model is, it's a framework for how technology will be used in the classroom. And this was based on some research in 2010 by Ruben Puentadura, who talked about, we have at that time mobile devices, different kinds of devices. You can have iPads, you can have phones, you can have smartphones, you can have tablets, laptops. but what do you do with all these different devices, and how do we teach our students to use them? And so what the three tenets of this is that one is devices are always very personal. If you think about it, your iPhone, your computer, it's your device. So you know it the best and you know how to use it to meet your needs. So devices become very personalized in terms of how you use them. They're also situated because depending on where you are, you can, you use your device. So are you in a place where there's internet access? Are you in a place where you have enough bandwidth? Do you need a tablet versus a desktop computer because you need to move around in the classroom and you're going to move into small group instruction, etc. So devices are situated. You have to think about location and accessibility. And the other thing is just the connectedness, is because you need connectivity and you need to be able to use the internet for a variety of reasons that all leads to learning. Next slide, please. So SAMR stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So when we think about how we use technology in the classroom at the lowest level of this mountain, substitution, this is where we just take materials that are available to us in paper and they turn it digitally. It's like taking a worksheet and now you put it digitally into a platform and you now fill out the worksheet online. It's very much like when we fill out forms for the DMV or anybody who sends us an application. So all we're doing is substituting something that's available in a different medium and now we're doing it digital. That's the lowest level of technology integration. It takes a skill to do that, but it doesn't take a whole lot of creativity. The second stage would be the augmentation. And this is where can you use technology to actually enhance something that you're learning? So could you create a digital portfolio, for instance? So instead of doing it, outside of technology, can you actually put it into a portfolio? Can you use pictures? Can you look for videos? Can you include different kinds of tools to enhance what you're learning? The third stage is modification, where you take something and you change it. So it may be like right now, our teachers and our students are using Google Platform and Seesaw. We've basically taken a classroom and put it into a platform with assignments, with ways for students to talk to their teachers back and forth, get feedback. So that's a way that we've modified learning, is to now take it to a different level and use that technology to enhance learning, but to modify as well. And then redefinition would be the highest level, which would be where students now use different kinds of multimedia to demonstrate their learning. They might do presentations, they might take a project and use different kinds of technology to demonstrate their learning. Next slide, please. So the next slide is actually from Meadows, because Meadows was one of our first schools to actually do personalized learning using SAMR, as Dr. Feldman described. And so you just see here examples of what that would look like. And it doesn't mean that we always have to be in the redefinition stage, but it means that you move back and forth depending on what you are trying to accomplish. And I would say that right now, because we're in distance learning, there are some tasks that students are doing just at substitution stage, where maybe they're just reading something online that's also available to them in the book, or they're filling out a worksheet. And augmentation would be like taking a quiz on a Google form, or using Google Earth to measure the distance. So this is just to provide you with just a very basic understanding of where we think our students need to go. And I think that our technology plan will include not only what I just described, which is the digital literacy and the computer science, but also how are we going to truly integrate technology into the classrooms, especially when we get back into in-person instruction. Next slide, please. And so in summary, while right now we are not, the Tech Steering Committee, which is made up of SAMR and principals and and Sarah, we meet every 2 weeks, including Jason, and we talk about our resources, we talk about our devices, we talk about access, because we're in that stage right now where we were pushed to move quicker on the use of technology for learning. But there's still a lot of work to be done. And so in our new technology plan, as we are still conceptualizing what that will look like, we know that it has to include some very specific skills around digital literacy. We know that we have to continue to keep in our plan how we're going to maintain device access and internet access for our students and our staff. We know we absolutely have to include the computer science standards because they're brand new, and we need to figure out ways to explore, to have our kids explore programming and coding from kindergarten to grade 8. And then we have to pay attention to our standards. What is it that we want to teach in math and science and reading? How do we use the technology to have them learn those important priority standards using an integration framework like the SAMR model? So this is just a preliminary concept of what we envision this plan will include. Next slide, please. And so our next steps will be that our intention for the tech plan that we actually started last spring was to survey our staff. This is before we knew we were going to close our campuses in March, but we wanted to find out from our staff kind of their attitudes around technology integration, how they currently used technology in the classroom, because there's variability across campuses depending on what they've been exposed to, if they've had grants, if they've had training. And so we wanted to get information because data drives our decisions. We also feel a strong need to identify some expertise. And so we feel like we need to reach out and find a person or an organization that can help us to tie all these pieces together into a robust technology plan that doesn't sit isolated from all other plans, but really aligns to everything we're trying to do in the district. In the meantime, we will continue to support our staff with distance learning. We will continue to provide professional development so that our students are receiving meaningful instruction during this time, providing more access to tools. I know that Sarah talked about, she mentioned Nearpod, but for those of you that are not familiar with Nearpod, it's actually a really, a very useful tool for helping students to engage in their learning so that they're able to participate in the learning by typing in their responses, by creating posters, by, different ways to demonstrate what they're learning using something like Nearpod. I know Pear Deck is another one that's often used. And we need to help our families. Our families have also, they're on the learning curve as well in terms of learning how to log in, how to use a device, how to navigate apps, how to read information in the Google Classroom or on Seesaw. And so family engagement, while we also have to bring our teachers and our staff and our students up to a different level of using technology, we have to bring our families along the way so that they feel connected to the learning of their students. So that concludes our presentation, and I want to thank you for your attention. And I also want to thank Sarah and Jason and SAMR for all the support this year with all our technology and our distance learning, charge that we've had. So thank you. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you again, Dr. Martinez-Palmer, and the rest of our presenters. I know there's a lot of information. I think it's really helpful for the board and for our general community to get that information. Board members, we have questions, comments?
Yeah, I do have one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question before that. Just thank you all for the report. It was very thorough. Dr. Feldman, I noticed that you mentioned that you talked about the Core 5 app, the report. I clicked on it and went in there and looked at it, and noticed that the same scores that you were giving on reading improvement How do they measure that? Is it done through quizzes in the app, or how is that measured, the improvement of the students?
So I think as students go along, it adjusts to what their level is. And so that is how it's based on the level of then the next activity or question that's given.
Got it. So it's kind of like
It's
when
as you go.
when you play a video game, you go to certain
Yeah.
levels. Okay.
Exactly.
That's okay. That's fine.
And if you get stuck at a certain level, then what has to happen is the teachers actually need to give a mini lesson to help a small group of students get unstuck. And so part of what we're actually doing now is we're having opportunities for professional development with our Lexia representatives directly with our school sites so that teachers can learn how do you analyze the student level data so that you can figure out who you need to give a mini lesson to help get unstuck so they can keep moving forward.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. And just a short follow-up question on that.
Sure.
I know I read somewhere in the news a report that with distance learning, students are actually improving in reading, but they're actually falling behind in math. Is this
Yeah,
true?
I've heard that as well. And one of the reasons it's really interesting is that, you know, when you've got these big chunks of asynchronous learning time, it's very easy for teachers to assign reading, right? Go read a book. And so kids are actually apparently reading more. And so that's very interesting. What it raises is a lot of concerns about, is there going to be more learning loss with math? And so that is a big focus right now, which is what is happening with math. So one of the things that we are doing actually is we're sort of drilling down on looking at how to build coherence with our math work between Eureka and CPM, which are the two math core curriculum programs that we use, how these align with the standards and the assessments that we use. And so that's a big chunk of work that we are actually just starting to dig into. And we're going to have work groups that are going to be starting in January, taking a look at that.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. And then, oh, actually, there was one more additional question on, maybe this is for Samer, on the hotspot devices. And I think we might have answered this in the past, but I can't remember. Are they of equal strength? Between like T-Mobile, Verizon, iPhones, are they, and then the AT&T hotspot devices, are they all equal strength?
So they're all 4G LTE. So as far as bandwidth, yes, they are of equal strength. But again, it depends on the site you're at or where your home is. For example, Verizon doesn't work very well at Windmill. T-Mobile works better, so you would get better connection, better speed with T-Mobile. But they are all of all equal strength, yes.
Yeah, it's because of the cell towers, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so are we looking at that when we hand out the devices?
We have primarily handed out AT&T as I mentioned, that SJ Access. We got 1,900 donated. We did primarily hand out AT&T, and we had, each school has Verizon and T-Mobile as a backup for when the AT&T devices are not sufficient.
Okay, yeah. I know that in my condo complex on McLaughlin, Xfinity has a monopoly, so AT&T doesn't work very well here. So anyway, okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Rudy, for those questions. George, did you have questions or comments?
Yeah, well, and maybe a comment. I talked to one of our parents who works at the Costco store on Center Road. I know pretty well. She's got her children attending Franklin School, and actually she came up with an opposite viewpoint, because she thought that reading, that her children were falling behind in reading, not so much in math, you know. And she was wondering what else could be done, or what other supports could be in place. And anyway, I told her I'd try to get back to her. But anyway, so just a comment in that regard. But thank you for this report. It's indeed very comprehensive, very enlightening, And I guess one of the things that hopefully we'll learn through this whole COVID experience is how to use technology more efficiently with our kids, and not leave it behind. But I think it's really, brought technology to the forefront in terms of how we can use it to enhance learning, enhance the classroom learning once our kids go back in the classroom. So hopefully we'll take those lessons and improve the overall educational experience for our kids. But anyway, I just want to make those comments and thank you again for the report tonight.
George, Ton, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah. Just referring to the computer science standard that was passed in 2018. A comment on that would just be like, after entering the workforce now and seeing like, okay, I'm going to be a financial analyst. I'm going to deal with numbers and things like that. But what I quickly learned on the job was it wasn't just that. It definitely took in me trying to understand what platforms and systems and softwares we're using inside the workspace, understanding how data is stored, where data is stored, and how to tap into it. And then finally, how to understand and interpret that data into an intricate data set that everyone can use. So just when you were talking about this, Norma, my ears perked up because I'm thinking like this is something that is definitely a necessary skill set for not just computer science majors, but in the future, like any job in tech or any application outside would be able to use this kind of knowledge that kids need to be able to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to hear that. I kind of want to also see what the curriculum looks like for the students as well once we have it. So if you don't mind setting up a session with me sometime just to go over it. I do have a question for Samer on the hotspot because I'm a little confused, and this is, I think, slide 11. I'm confused into why we have one that says Verizon and the other saying Verizon iPhones, and just with this disparity, the difference in pricing, I don't get why the pricing is so different either.
Actually, good question. I should have probably elaborated on that a little bit. So when COVID first broke out, you could not get a hotspot, not from Verizon, T-Mobile, or AT&T. Verizon offered iPhones to use as hotspots. The way they did that was they disabled all calling on the iPhone, and other than 911, of course. And the cost for those was actually $35 per month. So each one's $35 per month. Currently, Verizon has a deal for school districts where their current, the 533 is at $10 per month. And those are actual hotspots. And we have got plenty of those to go to the students if necessary. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, it does. But if that's the case, are we going to retire the Verizon iPhones and move over to that $10 hotspot just to save costs wherever we can? Or are we going to, is it too much of a hassle to take them back and then reissue them a new hotspot?
We have been working with our school sites to return the iPhones. As we get them back, we do disable them, or at least suspend the activation on them. But we're at the mercy of the parents as well, right? As long as we don't get them back, we're not going to disable them on them. So,
support. Okay, great to hear.
Okay.
And we knew that this was a large cost, but we had no choice, and we were not going to not allow our students to have access. And so some districts, waited until hotspots were available, and students, were not getting access, and we knew that we weren't going to do that here, and so we moved forward with the iPhones, knowing that it was going to be a larger cost. And then, you know, as Summer said, we are working to retire those if we can. But, you know, at this point, the priority is making sure students have access.
Totally understandable. And I just wanted to know the next steps in the case if we have any to reduce the cost as we move along. But Sam answered that question. Okay, so my last little confusion that I need a little bit more clarity on is the slide number 9 that explains the key metrics of the usage. So 73% of our students are, well, I guess tracked through this data set as using our what again? Our Clever SSO, or is it logging into the Chromebook? How's this tracked?
This is Clever single sign-on. So whether the student is using it on a Chromebook, an iPad, or a computer from their own home, it will register that as the student has signed on to this to the portal.
So the 27% that hasn't used Clever SSO, what are they? How are they?
It's possible, iPads especially, it is possible that the student goes to the app directly because the apps are also installed on the iPad. If they want to click on, let's say, Lexia Core 5 directly and sign on from there, they can. It is, personally, in my opinion, it's more of a hassle instead of having a single portal where they can go and get access to their older apps. But it is possible that they go directly to the application. Chromebooks are less of a chance. Chromebooks, they need to sign on with their Clever portal or badge.
So that means there's no way we can get this number to 100% then.
Highly unlikely.
So that we can align on all apps being accessible through Clever SSO only.
It's highly unlikely to get it to 100%. Getting it up to maybe 90% is possible. This is something new for Franklin-McKinley this year. Well, let me rephrase that. Although we did have Clever last year, it was never implemented to this magnitude. So, you know, it takes time. It takes time to get everybody, you know, on the same page. But you know, 100%, like I said, is difficult. Maybe 90%, I could see definitely doable.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. That's all the questions I have. So thank you for the presentation. It was very detailed and easy to ingest. So looking forward to another year, hopefully not the whole year, but of distance learning, because it seems like we're prepared. We're ready to take this on.
I did have a question. Again, regarding the computer science standards, I guess what steps is the district taking forward in regards to adapting for special ed students or any other students that may struggle, maybe English language learners?
So we haven't rolled out the computer science standards to our teaching staff yet. These were just recently adopted, and I think that this is actually a new learning area for many of our teachers. I think we need to get our teachers on board understanding the computer science standards. But when it does come time to looking at the progressions, we will definitely make you know, adaptations or modifications so that all students have access. Our EL students as well as our students with special needs. So I don't have a specific answer for you, just know that our intention will be there to make sure that these are accessible to all students.
I can tell you that at the state level, some of the discussion around the computer science standards has been around whether to include them as part of NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standards, or whether it should go more under mathematics, and which track it should align to. This becomes more significant in high school in terms of the alignment for A through G and, you know, those kinds of college and career readiness issues, but it'll eventually trickle down to elementary school levels.
Did you have other questions, Carrie?
I know that was it.
Okay, thank you. I did have I guess just a couple quick questions. On the note that Tan was referring to, so the usage of Clever single sign-on, so that's not the only way for students to access distance learning, is it? I just want to be sure, because I know someone mentioned that a lot of teachers post Zoom links directly on there, but that may not be the only way that they'd access it. Is that right?
No, it's not the only way. That some teachers will use Seesaw or Google Classroom, posting the link for Zoom in their Google Classroom instead of Clever.
Okay, so I just wanted to be sure that wasn't correlated with like our Zoom attendance or anything
Definitely
like
not.
that in terms of that percentage. Okay. The other question I had was in terms of, it said we expect to be one, I think this was on the slide 5. We are expected to be 1-to-1 by June 2021. Does that mean we're not currently 1-to-1?
If I can, Sarah, I knew you'd actually catch that. We kind of are 1-to-1. I want to come over here to our devices. Not all the devices are supported right now by the manufacturer, by Google or by Apple, but we do have enough devices to give to our students. We are actually receiving more devices this month, and we will be receiving more devices in either January or February. Lenovo's been, really back-ordered, but by June we should have a full, complete 1-to-1 with supported devices.
Okay, so it's not that we're not 1-to-1 now. It's just that some of them, the services, the manufacturer service is ending. Right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I guess my third question, I guess more towards Dr. Martinez-Palmer and Dr. Feldman, is in terms of our next steps here for this plan. I know you mentioned some of the areas for the development. Do we have like an approximate timeline or understanding of what that looks like? I mean, just because we know, right, even if we're going back to even if we do, when we get to in-person learning, I think we're going to be using a lot of these, technology skills. And students will, still have access to these devices. So I know we have like the staff survey, looks like coming up pretty soon.
So, God, there's so many things that we're trying to get ready for in the future. So do I have a precise time frame? I think that I'd like to identify someone that's going to help us with this effort, because we just can't do it by ourselves. So we will probably come up with a timeline when we work with that person or organization. But we definitely, right now, as Sarah said, she's working on the priority standards, and we're going to be incorporating digital literacy standards as part of that work, so that it's not a different track. It has to be like, here are the standards that our kids need to learn in reading and math and science, and this is where digital literacy and maybe even computer science intersect. And we're hoping to have those standards and that work done by August. So I can't say that a full plan will be ready by August, but at least we'll have part of it done by August.
Okay, great. Just let us know in terms of board support or policy work on that, if there's anything that you need help with in that area.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I just can add, I mean, part of this, right, is knowing, just like Board Member Sanchez said, right, is how do we leverage what we were forced into, which is accelerating staff comfort, knowledge, skill set about how to use technology and these tools that in some cases, for some teachers, they have never attempted. How do we use that to springboard into when we come in person and not lose that opportunity to really think about how we approach teaching and learning in person with leveraging technology to a greater level. And that's why we're using the SAMR model to really think about that and not just do what we sometimes did, which is replace the computer for a textbook. And so we're going to capitalize on what we're faced right now to really inform that plan, and then the support that the staff is going to need to shift, because we can't just assume that they're also going to just transition what they're doing virtually to what they can do in person. And then also thinking about the safety piece, right? I mean, it was mentioned about the Go Guardian as a way for us to monitor what they're doing. It's our filtering system, so not allow students to get access to things that they're not supposed to, even though they find ways to circumvent that, and then we have to get in front of that. But also, this, because the students are at home, we also implemented BARC, which is allowing us to monitor student work, messages that one may be inappropriate, and therefore we need to show them how to use it appropriately. But more importantly right now, in terms of the students' mental health. And that's allowed us to intervene in our student services team to reach out to students that may be in distress, and they're voicing that through emails, texts, or assignments that they're submitting through Google Classroom. And so it is also a way to use technology for purposes of keeping our students safe. So we're going to take what we're learning and really think about creatively how to use technology for in the future that maybe we hadn't thought about before.
Definitely. Well, thank you again to everyone who compiled the information for this presentation. It's been really informative. I'm grateful for the updates. So with that, I believe we'll go ahead and move on. I believe this is an information only, so we'll go to item 7, which is consent. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with board bylaws 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. And board members, do let me know if there's any items you would like to pull. Otherwise, do we have any comments or public comments on this?
No public comment.
Move to approve consent items 7.01 through 7.03.
Second.
Okay, so the item has items 7.01 through 7.03 have been moved for approval. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Board Member Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Board Member Tran?
Aye.
And I, Board Member Absalberta, vote aye. Go ahead and go to item 8, consent items over 25,000. Again, members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items. In accordance with board bylaw 9323, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Do we have any comments on this item, Superintendent Cruz?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Move
Board
to
member-
approve consent items 8.01 through 8.05.
Second.
Right, items 8.01 through 8.05 have been moved and seconded. I'll go through a roll call vote. Board Member Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Board Member Tran?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And I, Board Member Absalberta, vote aye. That motion passes unanimously. We will go to item 9, construction items. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with board bylaws 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Superintendent Cruz, do we have any comments on this item?
No comments.
Board members, I will accept a motion. You ready?
Move to approve consent items 9.01 and 9.02.
Second.
Right, items 9.01 and 9.02 have been moved. Seconded, we'll go through a roll call. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Trin,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Berta, vote aye. So those items pass unanimously. We will go to action items and item 10.01 personnel report. I believe there is an addendum.
Yep. Madam President, I move that the personnel report be approved as submitted and that A, the employment for the following employee be approved. Yadira Deras, paraeducator SDC from Los Arboles, effective 12/14/2020. B, the resignation of the following employees be approved. Linda Serta, noon duty supervisor at Windmill, effective 11/15/2020. Jose Cruz Perez, food service assistant at Shirakawa, effective 1/9/2021. C, the 39-month rehire for the following employee be approved. Veronica Andrade, teacher at Dahl, effective 12/9/2020.
Second.
This item has been moved and seconded. We'll go through a roll call vote. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Vice President Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Berta, vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. We will go to item 10.02, November 10th, 2020 board meeting minutes. So hopefully everyone's gotten a chance to review those minutes. Did you have a question, George, on that?
No.
Okay.
Just want to make a motion to go and approve item 10.02.
Second.
Okay, this item has been moved and seconded. We'll go through the roll call vote. Clerk Rosado,
Aye.
Vice President Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Berta, vote aye. That motion passes. We will go to item 10.03, the 2021 governance calendar. Did you have any comments on this, Superintendent Cruz?
No comments.
Okay. So hopefully board members have had a chance to review the calendar. If there are no comments or questions, accept a motion.
Move to approve the 2021 board governance calendar.
Second.
Right, this item has been moved and seconded. We'll go through the roll call vote. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Board Member Berta, vote aye. So that item 10.03 passes. We will go to item 10.04, adoption of the 18-month board meeting schedule. And I will accept a motion whenever we're ready, board members.
I just have a quick question. Why did we go to 18 months instead of for one academic year?
It's 18 months so that we can actually finish the academic year. It used to be 12 months, and so it would go from December to December, and then schools requested that we go to 18 months so that they knew when we were visiting and when there's color guard was coming in the spring of the governance calendar.
Awesome. Okay. With that, I move that we adopt the 18-month board meeting schedule.
Second.
Right, the item 10.04 has been moved and seconded. We'll go through a roll call vote. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Berta, vote aye. So that item passes unanimously. We will go to 10.05, the 2021 first interim report and budget overview for parents. Jason, are you going over that?
Yes, that's me. I realize that it's 9 o'clock already. I know that we have a few more items left. I am happy to go through the presentation, each slide, but I wanted to give the board the option of just going straight to Q&A, or if you want me to go through each slide in the presentation, given the time.
Board members, are you comfortable going to Q&A?
Yes, I actually had a chance to review this ahead of time because it was in our board packet. Everything, Jason, you have a reputation now of putting together some good presentations on our finances. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So if there are any questions or other comments, let me know, board members.
I just want to say that Jason's presentations make us sleep better at night. Thank you.
No, I wish we had more money, but
well, I just as a quick side note, I mean, this interim is definitely more rosier of a picture compared to the adopted budget. So I'm glad that the state and the federal government did what was right to provide some COVID-19 relief to school districts, and we're obviously utilizing that money, that funding, to benefit our staff and students.
I was gonna ask, we did end up spending the money, right? The COVID money. Do we still have some, or did we spend it all already?
So there are different buckets of COVID money. The one that was most important to spend by the end of this calendar year, so December 30th, was the learning loss mitigation funds. We have a small amount left, but we are set to spend that all by the end of this year.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Thank you.
Jason, I did have a question regarding when you talked about COVID. It brought up a question of mine in regards to money. I noticed that a lot of charter schools are applying for the payroll protection program, the PPP money. Are traditional public schools allowed to do that as well?
My understanding is no, that's not an option for public schools. And given the fact that we've gotten the CARES Act funding to help shore up schools during this distance learning COVID-19 response period, we are not in need of a PPP.
So why were charter schools allowed to do that, and if they're public schools and traditional public schools were not allowed to? Because of the CARES Act? Did the CARES Act not provide funding for charter schools?
No, I think it has to do with their business entity. That is, they're the ones that are able to apply for the PPP, not necessarily for the schools, because schools, we all got the funding.
I understand that. Okay, so here's a great example of the disparities between charter schools and traditional public schools that we might want to keep in mind as we move forward when comparing the two. I know that charter schools are always saying that they're public schools, but they're not.
Yeah, they do have different rules. I agree.
And different funding sources. I know a group of charter schools in our area got well over $6 million in PPP. Wow. Yeah, that's really fair, isn't it? Okay, that's all I have. Thanks, Maimona.
Thanks. Board member Sanchez, Turan, or Rosado, any other comments or questions?
I just wanted to just make sure, I know that all of you know this, but this is an action item. I just wanted to add a little bit to the action item piece of this. Not only are you approving the first interim SACS report and presentation, but you're also approving the budget overview for parents, which is basically a shorter version of what I typically present at adopted budget time and during first interim, so that it's easily digestible, if you will, for all potential readers.
Thank you for covering that. Jason, I actually did have a quick question on believe it's the last page of the budget overview. So it's where it talks about the increase to improve services for high needs students. So the figure 19, I'm going to round it, 19 million, and the district actually spent less than that. Was there a specific reason for less money being spent on that area?
Yes, I mean, 1920 is the year that our doors were closed due to COVID-19. So with the pandemic in place and these restrictions in place in terms of having in-person instruction, most of these, the difference is due to us not being able to have in-person instruction. And Norma, if you had any additional information that you'd like to provide.
But I'm still assuming that means we were providing, the differentiated level of support. It's not that just because we were distance learning, we weren't focusing on our high needs student populations.
Correct, but I mean, there's certain things that we've planned for that require in-person activity. So if you can't have in-person activity, you can't spend the funds on it.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, one of them would have been contracts with Little Heroes that were not being able to pay out because they weren't providing the service. So in some cases, those funds went unspent. But you're right, it wasn't that we weren't providing services to high needs students. It's just some contracts went unspent because of it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I'm hoping I think all of us are hopeful that the new administration in Washington will definitely be better for us in the public school system, than was the previous administration. So looking forward to some good things coming out of the new administration. That's my comment.
Well, I can guarantee you the Secretary of Education will be better off.
Great. So if there aren't any other questions or comments, I'll accept a motion on this item.
Move to approve action item 10.05, fiscal year 2020 through 2021, first interim report and budget overview for parents.
Second.
Great. This item has been moved and seconded. We'll go through a roll call vote. Clerk Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vice President Tran?
Aye.
And I, Board Member of Silberta, vote aye. So this item passes. We will go to item 10.06, the District Sunshine Proposal. And is this Annette?
This item is official notification of the district's intent to negotiate compensation, which is Article 3, and class size, which is Article 8 of the agreement with FMEA and the district.
Board members, any questions or comments on this item?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Great. So I will accept a motion whenever we're ready.
I'd like to make a motion on item 10.06 for approval.
Second.
Item 10.06 has been moved and seconded. We'll go through a roll call vote. Clerk Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Vice President Tran?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
I, Board Member of Silberta, vote aye. That motion passes. We will go to item 10.07, FMEA Sunshine Proposal for the agreement between the Franklin-McKinley Education Association and the Franklin-McKinley School District.
This item is official notification from FMEA on their intent to negotiate Article 3 compensation, as well as Article 4 hours from the FMEA agreement.
Board members, any questions or comments? Let's hope for a speedy resolution and agreement. Okay, we'll accept a motion whenever you are all ready, board members.
Move to approve action item 10.07.
Second.
Right, item 10.07 has been moved and seconded. We'll go through the roll call. Clerk Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Vice President Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Alberta, vote aye. That motion passes. We will go to item 10.08, naming a board representative for county committee. Superintendent Cruz, is that good to you?
Yes, so this is a request for a board member to serve as the person that will cast a vote for county committees. This is a routine item.
Out of curiosity, Juan, who was it in the past?
You know what? I don't know. Even though it's a routine item,
I think it's been vacant.
this is the first time we've brought it forward. So we did do a little research, and it says it's annual, but this is the first time we've been notified that we needed to submit a name.
No, actually, I was on it in 2011, I believe, or 2012. It's so long ago, I don't remember. And we met once.
Yeah, right. It doesn't meet very often.
No, so if anybody is interested, it's not a very high maintenance committee. Yet you can say you were on it.
Add it to your resume.
Yeah.
Is there any interest from any board members?
Sure, I'll take it if no one else wants to step forward.
All right.
Good.
I would like to nominate Carrie Rosado to the as a board representative for the county committee.
A strong second.
All right. So we have moved and seconded Carrie Rosado as our county committee representative. We'll go through a roll call vote. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Alberta, vote aye. Thank you, Carrie, for stepping up, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We will go to item 10.09, CSBA 2021 Delegate Assembly Nomination. Superintendent Cruz?
Yes, so this is brought forward for the board to designate or nominate for delegate assembly. I think board member Sanchez has been a delegate for many years.
A few years, I guess you could say.
And I would like to renominate George Sanchez.
Okay.
Second.
Right, we have Board Member George Sanchez nominated for our CSBA Delegate Assembly. We'll go through the roll call votes. Board Member Rosado,
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez,
Aye.
Board Member Tran,
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
and I, Board Member Alberta, vote aye. That motion passes. Congratulations, George.
Thank you. Another 2 years. It's every 2 years.
Great.
Thank you. It'll come back for a vote. This is just the nomination. You have to turn in paperwork.
Okay.
SBA, and then it's going to come back for a vote in March.
Yeah, the districts vote on it.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll all
Well,
be
good
able
luck with your paperwork then.
to-
So George, you get our nomination, but you may not get our vote. You have to earn it.
Okay. I'll work on it. I've got a couple of months to work on it.
Yeah. A few lunches will be good. I'm kidding. Oh, this is being recorded.
Oh,
Strike
yeah,
it.
it's recorded.
We'll go to item 10.10, Resolution 2020-59. It looks like, Jason, is this your item?
Yep. As the board knows, the community supported our Measure K that was on the ballot in November. We had over 70% approval from our community. This will bring in 1.2 million annually for the district. This is an opportunity to pass Resolution 2020-59 to put the results of the ballot into record, as well as to establish a Citizens Oversight Committee, and also consolidate that committee with that of Measure HH, which is our already existing parcel tax. And then lastly, that's really it. Sorry, that's it.
Thank you. And it's just really so grateful to our community and the voters again for supporting this item, or for supporting the measure, I should say. Board members, any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll accept a motion whenever you're ready.
Move to adopt resolution 2020-59, declaring Measure K election results.
Second.
All right, this item has been moved and seconded. We'll go through a roll call vote. Clerk Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Vice President Tran?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And I, Board Member Afzal-Berta, vote aye. That motion passes. We will go to item 10.11, reporting on delegating authority to take necessary action to protect students and staff from the spread of coronavirus,
Yes, thank you.
COVID-19.
So I just wanted to go ahead and do a quick presentation, a couple of slides, but given the time, I'll just do some of the highlights and allow the board to ask questions. I did just share the slides with you as well. We have these pictures there to remind us of what has been before COVID and what we hope to get to back as soon as we get past this. So these are not new photos, just so people understand that that's why they're not wearing face coverings. Go ahead. Given the high number of positive cases and also wanting to give the board sort of an idea of which staff we have working in our facilities and which staff we have working remotely, and some of the process, so that in the event that you get questions of why certain members of our staff are having to come in and why members of our staff are not, you sort of have a context in regards to that. So all of our certificated staff have the ability to work remotely. They're not required to come into our facilities, although they have the option of coming into our facilities and working from their classroom, their office space, if they choose to. And many do, because they find it easier to teach from their classroom, one for internet access and more stable internet access, but also their materials and things like that. So we do have quite a number of our staff, certificated staff coming in. And in addition to that, our paraeducators and our BI also are working, have the option of working remotely as they're supporting distance learning with teachers in that way, but also have the ability to come into our facilities if they choose to. The rest of the staff, management and classified staff, were reported back to their location in August as we were starting the school year. But each individual staff member had an opportunity to ask for accommodations regarding their own circumstances. And so while those cannot be shared with other staff, and that's one of the reasons why some staff don't understand why some are coming in and why some are at home or working remotely, is because their own individual situation is a confidential personnel matter. And so we can't get into the specifics of that. And so sometimes it is hard to understand why there's different situations for different staff members. And then also some of our staff have been reassigned other duties, bus drivers, noon duty staff. Since we're not transporting students and we're not supervising students during, they've been reassigned other duties that are appropriate for them to do during this time. And then also taking into consideration their workspace. So recently, we went ahead and allowed school sites to rotate their staff, their front office staff, to have them work remotely and some in the office, given the high positive cases in our community, to sort of reduce the risk there as well. Because our office staffs front offices are small, and a lot of times their workspaces may not have adequate space in between, even though we have added plexiglass and those kinds of protections for our staff. So we made some modifications with that. Next. So we're following all the protocols that the public health has, put forward. Like I said, we've added plexiglass for offices. We've added obviously plexiglass for classrooms where our choral students come in daily to access distance learning. We are using a company nurse that allows for the screening ahead of time of our staff, and our administrators get that confirmation. That also helps us to track of who's coming into the buildings, where they're at, and for contact tracing, our visitor log as well. Any visitor comes in, they log in, who they're seeing, where they're going. And again, all of these measures are to help with contact tracing and also to help our custodial staff know what spaces need to be cleaned that day. So if a teacher comes into their classroom, we know that they came in and we know that that classroom has to be cleaned at the end of the day. Choral students are screened at the beginning. They take their temperature and make sure that before they come into our buildings that they've been screened. Next. When we find of positive cases and exposures, Jason is our point of contact for the district, and so all the information is funneled through Jason, and then we go through an entire process of identifying what if it's a positive or an exposure, contact tracing of those individuals and identifying who was at risk, and then making sure that those individuals are referred to HR for them to understand what their options are, and in regards to their next steps and how many days they'll have to quarantine or isolate depending on their own individual situation. Linked there is the flow chart of how public health has asked us to sort of go through a process of identifying risk and then next steps. They develop a quick guide scenario so that we're able to sort of follow their guidance in regards to how to keep everybody safe. And then obviously we want to communicate with our staff when we have positive cases or exposures at their campus in the event that they were there, so that they could also take steps to protect themselves. Next. And then this past week, we started our own in-house COVID testing in conjunction with County Office of Education and Curative. And as a result of last week's testing, we tested over 200 staff members, and out of those, 4 individuals were identified as positive cases, and staff then went ahead and took the necessary steps to isolate those staff members and then conduct contact tracing and move accordingly. This testing is not at a cost to our staff or the district. This is charged to the individual's healthcare provider. And we are using our own staff volunteers. They're volunteering for this, but they're getting paid $200 for 8 hours worth of monitoring testing. And so we're able to support our staff that way. This is what we want to get back to. And so I want to make sure that the community knows, the board knows that we are indeed following everything that public health has asked of businesses, public schools, to ensure that we keep people safe, that we are containing the virus when there are positive cases, and that we're attempting to keep our staff, our families, and our students safe during this time. At this point, I will entertain any questions.
Board members, any comments or questions?
Yeah, I just have one comment. Thanks, Juan, for the report. I know that that I asked you by email about the vaccinations, and we don't have any real information right now. So I'd like to see if we could stay on top of this because I believe our teachers should be top priority in getting teachers and classified staff should get top priority in receiving vaccinations when they are made available so that we can reopen our schools safer.
Yeah, so we are awaiting CDC's recommendation of which are the next level of priority. Obviously, the first priority was healthcare workers and those that are working in senior resident, but yes, we want to advocate for education to be at the top of that list so that we can, ensure that we're able to reopen our campuses. So we will keep you posted when we hear of any movement, or if we need to obviously voice our support for that and advocate for those that are going to be making those decisions to prioritize education.
Awesome. And if we don't reopen before the end of the year, I really think that we should try to reopen for summer school.
Yeah, so we will, as the board requested, we are going to be exploring even in the spring if conditions are right and safe to do in person for small groups. But certainly the summer program is one of the areas that we're looking at to start transitioning students into in-person additional support. So our summer program is going to look different, more robust, and with greater opportunity for a number more students than we normally do. And so that's what we will be working towards.
Any other comments or questions, board members? Great. Well, thank you, Superintendent Cruz. It's important that we have these updates and kind of able to stay on top of as much as we can, how COVID is impacting our district and our community. So thank you for that information. And hope
I'll just finish with saying that our community is struggling right now. We have, Santa Clara County in general, but in our zip codes, there's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't hear of a staff member, whether it's FMSD, choral, a student, or their family members that either were tested positive or were exposed to somebody that tested positive. It is very, very serious right now in terms of our community. And so we are responding to those. We are, providing in some cases to families toilet paper, paper towels, disinfecting, hand sanitizer, because they're in huge need. And so we're connecting them to the resources that the county is providing, the city's providing. But I can tell you that right now our community is struggling with this. And so everything that we can do to mitigate the spread, but also the support to our families is important.
Yeah, we know these, this holiday season is going to be a difficult one, especially. And so I just hope everyone can prioritize, their health and safety and our community's health and safety, especially as we get down to the number of ICU beds and all of that available. It's really for our protection and our community's protection. And I do believe we also are serving meals during the 3 weeks.
Yes, thank you for reminding me on that. We are serving meals on the 3 Mondays. We normally do not serve during vacation, but obviously these are not normal times. And so Jason and his team have put together a distribution on the 3 Mondays. They will be providing lunch and breakfast and lunch for 7 days on Monday that the families can pick up at 5 school sites. And that information has been shared with the families since last week, and we'll continue to remind staff and students and families that this is available for them.
Great. All right, so we will continue to do the best we can and hope everyone continues to stay safe and healthy to the extent possible. If there aren't any other comments or questions, we'll go ahead and go to item 11, which is communications from the superintendent. Any other general communications, Superintendent Cruz?
Just I've had the opportunity to visit some of our virtual classrooms, and I want to thank our staff for the incredible work and effort that they're putting forward. It is not easy, by far. It's not easy. They're doing an awesome job. They're keeping the students engaged. The kids, they're, and then this week I had an opportunity to go into some of the sessions that our social workers are having for our students, some of the fun activities, some, to try and get them, some mental health activities here and there. And I took the opportunity to survey them as focus groups. And, I told them, look, we listen to parents all the time. We talk to staff all the time. So now it's about, listening to students. And we're gathering a lot of information that we'll share with the committee that, Norma's putting together in terms of how to support and improve distance learning, but also the board. They have huge insights to share about how things are going and what their needs are and what the kind of support they have. And it's just great to be able to see students, coming in, 30, 40 at a time, for a 30-minute drawing activity. That's how much the students need that connection. And so we will be sharing that with the board. I'm really humbled to see the kind of work that our staff are doing to support our students. So thank you for all the support that you provide us and our families.
We'll look forward to seeing those as well. We'll go to item 12, communications from the Board of Education. We'll start with 12.01, board member reports. I'll just go down the list. Board member Rosado.
Since this is our last board meeting of the year, just want to wish everyone a very safe and happy holidays with your families, and see you next year. And thank you for all the hard work this year.
Thank you. Board member Sanchez.
Just a couple of quick things. One, I just want to thank everyone, fellow board members, the superintendent, the cabinet, so on, for all your support this past year, being president of the board. And it does require a little bit more effort and a little bit more work. And I want to thank Mona, my vice president, because she was there with me throughout the year. So that was very, very helpful. So thank you, Mona, again. Thank you, board members. And real quick, I did attend the CSB had a conference, a virtual conference, and the delegate assembly was also a virtual delegate assembly. A couple things real quick. Vaccination was mentioned at the delegate assembly, and so they're trying to ensure that educators are up there in terms of one of the first groups to be vaccinated, so that when schools reopen, hopefully the educators will be fully vaccinated at that time. So that was one of the things that came out. A couple of the things, the CSBA conference was real interesting. A total of 51 workshops, but again, all virtual. One was entitled Beyond COVIDs, and on that one thing that came out was some of the things we learned from being in distance learning. And one of the things we learned from that district was how to bring kids together. Like sometimes you have a program in a particular school, but now you can network it to all the schools, and that's like tutoring services, things of that nature that you can do district-wide instead of just in one school. And anyway, so something to maybe to take a look at for us in the future. Also, I was at Larone School helping out with the Second Harvest Food Bank this past Thursday. So you get a little workout there for distributing all the food. It's for 500 families that come through there, and so it's quite exhaustive. By the end of the day, we ended about 4:30, and we started about noontime. So it does last quite a bit. Anyway, one thing about the delegate the CSBA board conference, 51 workshops, but the 51 workshops are going to be available all the way through the 31st of January, and so that's kind of you don't see that before in other conferences. And sometimes you go to a workshop. There's 2 workshops, but you can't go to both because they're both they're both at the same time. Well, now you can go to all 51 if you want. If you have the time to go ahead and go through them. So I'm trying to see how many I can get to before January the 31st. And that's my report. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, George. Tan?
You're on mute.
Thanks, Juan. I'd like to thank the whole staff for, working so hard this is probably the middle point of the school year. So I want to wish everyone a happy 2020, but we all know that's not very, didn't turn out the way we wanted it to be. And I was gonna wish everyone a better 2021, but can't promise that either. But I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving and have a happy holidays. George, I want to thank you for leading the school district, the school board for the past year, especially during these trying times. And then Maimona, good luck to you to take it on for the rest of 2021. And that's it.
Thank you, Tan. Rudy, do you have a report?
Yeah, just a very short one. George, I just want to thank you for your leadership this challenging year with the COVID pandemic going, and congratulations to you, Maimona, and Tan and Carrie. We just have an awesome board, and with all of you as our leadership now, I have no worries. I mean, I think that we are running like a smooth machine. I hope I don't jinx us now, but I really appreciate everybody. I really want to thank all of our district leadership and staff and teachers for all the great work you've done through this crisis. And it's been an interesting year. I think we're going to be able to talk about this for years to come, as we're not done yet, but once it's over, once we reopen our schools, even partially, it's going to be a whole new experience. It's going to be, we're going to feel uncomfortable again because we're all kind of getting used to distance learning. But I know that I really appreciate you all. And I think that through all of these Zoom meetings and challenging meetings, I look forward to coming back in the boardroom and having person-to-person meetings in the near future, hopefully by the spring. And that's it. Thank you. And George, if you watch all 51 sessions of the CSBA conference, we'll give you a plaque. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Rudy. And I'll just echoing, because those are all such, such generous words. And I just want to express that gratitude as well to, George. Thank you again for allowing me to learn from your years of experience, and the other board members as well. It's part of this instrumental lifelong learning process. Appreciate your patience to this first meeting as well. And this is Superintendent Cruz and Norma and Jason and Net, Sandy, thank you all. Definitely our educators and staff as well. We all know that this has been a year where all of our lives and even work experience has shifted, and so I just really appreciate everyone's grace through working through these challenges together. And I wanted to give a quick shout out as well. I had the opportunity to participate in a project-based learning, I guess the end product for our 8th graders at Bridges. And so they put together a really neat lesson. It was focused around the election and putting together a newspaper article. And it was just really exciting. I mean, throughout all of this, the fact that our educators can continue to develop such engaging and such meaningful lessons, and the fact that our students are also, continuing to persevere through the challenges of trying to learn online and making it meaningful. It just continues to make me grateful. So wishing everyone a very safe, hopefully this winter holiday season, and hopefully a brighter start to 2021. We will go to item 12.02, agenda item requests. Board members, do we have any agenda item requests?
Yeah, an update on the new DEI committee, what they're addressing, and just a more detailed plan as far as the district's plan going forward once we're ready to go back to on-site learning, what that will look like.
Thank you, Carrie. And I also would like to ask for an update on the prioritizing diverse student needs implementation plan. I know we had started that process with that resolution. I think some of that came up in our work with CDAC, but I think it's important for us to revisit what that plan looks like and make sure we're on track as well. Any other requests, board members? Okay, we will go ahead and go on then to future business. Item 13, I don't see anything there, so we'll go to item 14, future meeting dates. You can see item 14.01, 02, and 03 are our 3 upcoming dates, 2 in January, 1 in February, well, coming up. And with that, I will accept, there's no closed session at this time. And so I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Great. We'll go through a roll call vote. Clerk Rosado?
Aye.
Board Member Sanchez?
Aye.
Vice President Tren?
Aye.
Board Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And I, Board Member Absalberta, vote yes. And so we are adjourned at this time, 9:48 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.